Hey guys, here's your video for your help today. Today is April 22nd, and you're doing your work in either Canvas or Google Classroom if you cannot figure out Canvas. But I would like for you to try to submit it through Canvas using those support links that I posted on Monday before you give it to me in Google Classroom, because CMS wants us to transfer to the Canvas course. So make sure you're at least trying to get into Canvas, because one day the Google Classroom will not be there for you to fall back on. Now I'm going to pull up our daily work for today. This is what you are submitting to me, whether it's in Canvas or Google Classroom. This is April 22nd daily work on it. Okay. We're going to start with reading. We finished Home of the Brave yesterday, the book. We finished reading it. So today, this is a quiz that you're taking instead of a test. So if we were at school, we would be taking an assessment on your knowledge of the book. Since we are at home, we've incorporated it into a quiz. Now, here's the one thing I will tell you. The last time we played a quiz in science, I noticed a lot of you got zeros and then got 100s. So I can see that if you're just guessing and getting every single question wrong, so that it will show you the correct answer, and then you're playing again with all the right answers. That's not how it works, because I can see that. So you need to take it once and be truthful in trying to answer the questions. So remember, the blues are links that you can click. So I'm going to click the quiz code that says join a game. Then I'm going to go back to my daily, and I'm going to copy and paste the code that is 321757 into my quiz inner game code area. Now this is going to be 10 questions, and I've already tested it once to make sure that it was right and all the questions made sense. So I'm going to replay it and go through it with you so that you have an idea of what it's going to look like. Where does he live now? He being Keck, Michigan, Maine, Maryland, Minnesota. Who does Keck live with now? Gunwar and his uncle, Gunwar and Dave, his aunt and uncle, Gunwar and his aunts. What part of Gunwar's body was lost in Africa? His foot, his hand, his leg, his arm. Who is the main character of the novel? Keck, Hannah, Gunwar, Dave. Is Gunwar a good student in school? Yes or no? What was the number one lesson that Dave taught Keck before leaving him with his aunt and cousin? How to make his bed, how to turn on a stove, how to cook, always lock your door. What is a flying boat? A cruise ship, an airplane, Dave's car, a sailboat. What was Keck's brother's name? Lowell, Larry, Luke, Louise. Where does he come from? Maryland, Africa, Australia, South America. Where will Keck and Gunwar take turns sleeping? On a cot, on the sofa, in a tent, on the patio. And then you're done. That's all you have for reading today. So if you choose to play again, that's fine. But remember, I can see each time that you retake and all of your answers. So just make sure you're truthful. Moving back to your daily work, that's all you have in reading is to take the Home of the Brave quizzes. In science, it wants you to read your nervous system ready for action and the respiratory system. Both of those blue links are links. You will just have to make a copy. So I'm going to start with your nervous system ready for action, which is right here. And I'm going to read it with you in case you need some help. Your nervous system ready for action. Ouch! Have you ever pricked your finger on a thorn? When this happens, lots of messages dart through your body at once. Some messages cause your arm to jerk back. Some tell your eyes to look at your hand. Others let you know that hurt. Parts of the nervous system. Your nervous system delivers messages all around your body. It includes your brain, spinal cord, and nerves. Messages travel to and from your brain along nerves. The bundle of nerves that run from your brain down to your back is your spinal cord. Nerves lead from your spinal cord to different parts of your body. They form branching pathways through your body. But how do messages actually move along these pathways? To find the answer, you will need to look at the tiniest part of your nervous system, the cell. Neurons are special cells designed to deliver information. Neurons, nerve cells. Neurons are found throughout your nervous system. There are billions of them in your brain alone. Neurons have three main parts: the cell body, dendrites, and an axon. The axon forms along the long part of the neuron. The single axon is too thin to be seen, but when many are built up together, they form hair-like nerves. Most axons are small, but axons and nerves from your feet to your spinal cord can be at least 3 feet long. The cell body is the control center of the neuron. Dendrites are little tiny testicles that receive messages that will travel through the axons. Nerve messages always move in one direction, from dendrite to axon. Delivering messages. Neurons work together to deliver messages. Axons of one nerve meet up with dendrites of another nerve, so messages can travel from one cell to the next. If neurons end at a muscle, they tell the muscle to move or to stop moving. When neurons deliver messages from your eyes or your ears to your brain receives information about the world around you. When neurons send messages between organs in your brain, your body can function properly. When a thorn pricks your finger, messages travel along nerves from your fingertips up your spinal cord into your brain to let you know it hurt. Your brain sends other messages along nerves to muscles that move your arm, fingers, and eyes. Your brain might even send messages to make you yell out loud. Okay, so that's your nervous system. That was your first read for today, and the second one is the respiratory system. The respiratory system. The respiratory system, also called the gas exchange system, is the body getting rid of carbon dioxide and taking in oxygen. Carbon dioxide, a waste product, goes out of the body. Oxygen, which the body needs, comes in. The first step in this process is breathing in air, or inhaling. The taking in of air rich in oxygen into the body is called inhalation, and giving out the air rich in carbon dioxide from the body is called exhalation. The second step is gas exchange in the lungs, where oxygen is diffused into the blood and the carbon dioxide diffuses out of the blood. The third process is the cellular respiration, which produces the chemical energy that the cells in the body need, and the carbon dioxide. Finally, the carbon dioxide from cellular respiration is breathed out of the body from the lungs. Breathing. For respiration to happen, the body needs a consistent supply of oxygen, which is done through breathing. Inhalation is the breathing of air. To inhale, the lungs expand, decrease the air pressure in the lungs. This is caused by the diaphragm, which is a sheet of muscular tissue that separates the lungs from the abdomen, and the muscles between the ribs contracting to expand the chest, which also expands the lungs. This is the air pressure inside the lungs are lower when it is expanded. Air from the outside at higher pressure comes rushing into the area of low pressure in the lungs. Air first passes through the nose and mouth when the larynx, or your voice box, and then down the trachea, which is your windpipe, and into the lungs and come out. The lungs are made of tiny tubes or branches. As air enters the lungs, it first goes through branches called a bronchi, then through smaller branches called bronchioles, and finally into the air sacs. Gas exchange occurs in the air sacs when oxygen is exchanged into carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide in the air sacs now need to be exhaled or breathed out. In the reverse process in inhaling, the diaphragm and the rib muscles relax, causing the lungs to be smaller. As the air pressure in the lungs is greater than the lungs are smaller, air is forced out. The exhaled air is a high concentration of carbon dioxide and a low concentration of oxygen. The maximum volume of air that can be inhaled and exhaled is called the vitral capacity of the lungs and is up to 5 liters. The inhaled air goes down the air sacs at the end of the bronchiole. The air sacs are called alveoles, and they are a large surface area and they are moist, thin, and close to the blood supply. The inhaled air, which is a much greater concentration of oxygen than carbon dioxide, whisked through the blood flowing to the lungs, has more carbon dioxide than oxygen. This creates a concentration gradient between the air and the air sacs in the blood, meaning there is more oxygen in the air than in the blood. This is a membrane. Oxygen can easily diffuse in and out. Oxygen at high concentrations in the air sacs diffuses into blood, where oxygen concentration is low, and carbon dioxide at high concentrations in the blood diffuses into the air sacs, where carbon dioxide concentration is low, and the oxygen in the blood enters the circulatory system and is used by the cells in the body. The carbon dioxide in the air sacs are exhaled out of the body. Back to your daily work. Those were the two you had to read. There's nothing you're turning in, so make sure you've read them and that you have a copy of them in your Google Drive. Now moving to your math. Today's math focus is going to be customary measurements. So this is going to be like feet, inches, cups, gallons. It's things we use here in the United States. This should be a review, and then you have a memory jogger at the end. So each question is going to give you a hint on what the conversion looks like in case you've forgotten it. So we'll answer them together. Make sure you're showing your work in each question and not just giving me the answer. The first one says, on Judy's way home from school yesterday, she ran half of the distance. Then she skipped for 1/4 of the remaining distance and walked the rest of the way home. She walked a total of 360 feet. What is the distance in yards between the school and Judy's home? So the question is asking for us to find the distance in yards from school to home. So I'm wanting to know the total distance in yards from the school to the house. Okay, so let's pull out our information that we need. On her way home, she ran half the way. So I know she ran half. It says she skipped for 1/4 of the way. And it says the remaining distance she walked. She walked for 360 feet, which is 1/4 of the way home. What is the distance in yards? Well, if 360 feet was 1/4, what do I need to do to find the total distance in feet? It's going to be 360. And if I'm looking for the total distance, it's either adding or multiplying. 1/4, that means there's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4 equal her distance from home to school. So that's 4. So I would do 360 times 4. Okay. Well, 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 3 is 12, plus the extra 2 is 14. So right now I have 1,440 feet is what it takes for her to get from school to home. Now I want to turn feet into yards. And I know because it tells me there are 3 feet in 1 yard. So I'm going from a smaller, feet are small, yard is bigger. If I go from small to bigger, that means I'm going to divide. And if I do that hand motion small to large, it makes that long line that goes in the middle of a division sign. So I need to take 1,440 and I need to divide it by 3. Okay. So underneath, I'm going to start putting my easy facts so I can kind of show my thinking. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 5, and 10, and then I'll keep going if I need to. So 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 5 times 3 is 15. 10 times 3 is 30. 30 is nowhere near 1,440, so I'm going to keep going. So I'm going to start repeating 20, 50, 100. 20 times 3 is 60. 50 times 3 is 150. 100 times 3 is 300. 200 times 3 is 600. 500 times 3 is 1,500. 1,500 is too large. So I'm going to take it off. I only have 1,440. So if I was to use 200, that would be 1,440 minus 600. And that would be me using 200. So I'm putting 200 in parentheses so I can keep up with what I just used. Okay. Well, I know 600 doubled is 1200, and then that would leave 240 left. So 600 plus 240 is 840 is left over. Okay, so now I know, well, I can subtract out another 6. So I have 840 minus 600, which is another 200. Okay, 840 minus 600 is going to leave me with 240 left. So now 600 is too big. 300 is too big, so I'm going to subtract 150. So I have 240 minus 150. 150 is 50 times, so I'm putting that in parentheses. Now I'm going to see what's left. 240 minus 150 leaves me with 90. So now 150 is too large. I can use 60. So I have 90 minus 60. 60 is 20 in parentheses. 90 minus 60 leaves me with 30. So now 60 is too large, but I can use 30. So I have 30 minus 30, which is 10, which leaves me with a 0 remainder. So now I need to take my parentheses and add them together. So I have 200 plus 200 plus 50 plus 30, and I'm going to figure out what that equals. 200 plus 200 is 400, plus 50 is 450, plus 30 is 480. So it's going to equal 480 yards. I'm putting yards behind it because that is my measurement. I need to make sure that it says yards since it asked for it in yards, and I've highlighted my answer. Then you would move to problem 2. Problem 2. Mary made 144 cups of juice for a party. She served the juice equally into 8 pitchers. Her guests drank 6 of the pitchers of juice. How many gallons of juice did Mary have left over? And it lets you know that 16 cups equals 1 gallon. So if I'm looking at what the questions asked how many gallons are left. Okay. Well, I know there are 16 cups in 1 gallon because the hint told me that. I know she made 144 cups, and I know that was shared into 8 pitchers, and there are 6, or they drank 6, and 6 were drank. So the first thing I want to do is I want to figure out how many cups went into each picture, because 16 cups equals 1 gallon. And it says she made 144 cups and they were shared into 8 pitchers. If it was shared into 8 pitchers, shared means I would divide. So I have 144. I want to divide that into 8 pitchers. Okay, so I'm going to start with my easy facts of 1, 2, 5, and 10. I'm going to use that to help me figure out how many cups were in each gallon. So 1 times 8 equals 8. 2 times 8 equals 16. 5 times 8 equals 40. 10 times 8 equals 80. 20 times 8 equals 160. 160 is too big. I only had 144, so I know it's something smaller than 20. So I'm going to start with 10 times 8. So I'm going to take 144. I'm going to subtract 80. And in parentheses, I'm going to put 10 because that would be 10 cups in each picture. I'm going to figure out what that equals. 144 minus 80. Well, if I minus 40, that leaves me with 104 minus 40, which would be 164, I think. Double check that. No. 144 minus 80. My brain's not working. 144 minus 80 is 64. I was right. Pretty close. Okay. Now I have 64 left, so 80 is too big. So now I can use 40. So I have 64 minus 40, which is 5 cups being added to each picture. 64 minus 40 leaves 24. Now 24 is not an easy fact, but a lot of us know that 8 times 3 is 24. So I'm putting 3 in parentheses. That would be 3 additional cups into each pitcher, because 8 times 3 is 24, which leaves me with 0 left. So now I can add those together, which is 10, 5, and 3. 10 plus 5 plus 3 equals 18 cups are in each pitcher. So now I know how many cups are in each pitcher. Now I need to figure out, well, how many pitchers were left? She had 8 and 6 were used. So she had 8 and used 6 of them. That means there are 2 left over. 2 pitchers left over, and each have 18 cups. So we're now going to do 2 times 18 to figure out how many cups are left over. So 18 times 2, or 18 plus 18, equals 36 cups. 36 cups would then be highlighted so that I know it's your answer. Make sure it says cups behind it. And then just kidding, I found my mistake. How many gallons? Okay, so now I have 36 cups. I need to figure out how many cups that is in a gallon. I almost let you get the wrong answer. There are 16 cups in a gallon. So if I had 16, that's 1 gallon. 16 plus 16 is 32, which is 2 gallons. And then I have 4 left out of 16, which can be simplified. So it's going to equal 2 1/4 gallons. So it's very important that we make sure we look back at what the question is asking. So if I wouldn't have glanced up here and seen gallons are left, I would have left it 36 cups and my answer would have been wrong. But since I glanced and noticed gallons, it was easy for me to fix my mistake before moving on. So our answer is 2 1/4 gallons. Moving to the next question. A local hospital recently conducted a blood drive where they collected a total of 80 pints of blood from their donors. The hospital was hoping to collect a total of 8 gallons of blood from the drive. Did they meet their goal? How much more or less did the hospital collect? So the question wants to know, did they reach the goal of 8 gallons? So this is going to be a yes or no question. Then we have to say how much less or more they made out of blood. Okay, so it's a 2-part question. Yes or no, they met their goal. How much were they short, or how much more did they get over 8 gallons? It says they conducted a blood drive where they collected 80 pints of blood. Their goal was 8 gallons, and the hint says that 8 pints equal 1 gallon. Okay, I need to make sure my answer is in gallons this time. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to take 80 pints and I want to turn it into gallons. So there's 8 pints in 1 gallon, and we have 80 pints. So if I needed my easy facts, 1 times 8 is 8. 2 times 8 is 16. 5 times 8 is 40. 10 times 8 is 80, and we have 80. So this is our pints. So 10 would be how many gallons we have. We have 10 gallons of blood. So did we reach our goal? Yes, we reached our goal because the goal was 8 and we have 10. So that means we have how many gallons extra? 8 to 9, 9 to 10. So we have 2 gallons more than the goal. So make sure you've answered both parts. Yes, we met our goal. How much more did we get? We got 2 gallons more than what the goal was. Now we're moving to the next one. A standard elevator in the mid-rise building can hold a maximum weight of 1.5 tons. Assuming an average adult of 160 pounds, what is the maximum number of adults who could ride safely in the elevator? So the question wants to know how many adults can ride at once. Okay, well, I know it holds a max of 1.5 tons, and 1 adult is going to weigh 160 pounds. The thing tells us that 1 ton is equal to 2,000 pounds. So the first thing I want to do is I want to take the maximum weight from the elevator, which is 1.5 tons, and I want to change it into pounds since my answer needs to be in pounds if we're talking about adults, and adults weigh in pounds. So I want to know how many pounds are in 1.5 tons. Okay. Well, I know that 1 ton is equal to 2,000 pounds, and then there's a half. Half of 2,000 is 1,000. So then 2,000 plus 1,000 is 3,000 pounds. So 1.5 tons is equal to 3,000 pounds. This is the max of the elevator. We know each person weighs 160 pounds. So now they're wanting us to figure out how many adults can fit. So I'm wanting to make groups of 160 to see how many will fit. If I'm making groups of 160, that means I need to be dividing. So what I have over shared, I have 3,000 pounds and I want to share it into 160 size groups. So now I'm going to drop my easy facts of 160 to help me kind of contemplate how many people this will be. So 1 times 160 is 160. 2 times 160 is 220. Yes. 5 times 160 is 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 6 is 30. 1 times 5 is 5, plus the 3 is 8. 800. 10 times 160 equals 1,600. Okay, I'm going to keep going because I'm going until I get to 3,000. 20 times 160 is 2,200. 50 times 160 equals 8,000. So 8,000 is too big, so I cannot use this. It's too large. So I'm going to take it out. I'm going to start with 3,000 minus 2,200, which would be 20 people in the elevator. Okay, 3,000 minus 220 leaves me with 800 pounds left. So now I'm going to keep going. Well, now 2,220 is too large. 1,600 is too large. So I'm going to use 800. So if I have 800, I'm wanting to subtract 800, which is 5 more people. It's going to leave me with 0 pounds left. So now take what's in parentheses, 20 plus 5. 20 plus 5 is 25 people will fit in the elevator at once, staying at that max weight so that it still works properly. Highlighted my answer and I made sure I put people behind it so that I understood the context of my answer. Now we can move down to the last question. Jamar is training for a race and is running laps around a field. If the distance around the field is 30 feet, how many complete laps would he need to do to run at least 45 yards? So the question wants to know complete laps to run 45 yards. That means my answer is going to have to be in yards, okay? Complete laps makes me know my answer needs to be a whole number. So if I get a decimal or I get a fraction, I'm going to have to round it to a whole number for complete laps. So now I'm going to go back and pull my information. He's running laps around the field. If the distance on the field is 30 feet, so 30 feet is equal to 1 lap. How many complete laps would he need to run at least 45 yards? And it tells me that 3 feet is equal to 1 yard. Okay, we're changing this into yards. So the first thing I want to do is I want to figure out how many yards is in 1 lap. So let's go ahead and turn 1 lap into yards. So right now, hold on. Right now, 1 lap is equal to 30 feet, as I think what it was. Give it 1 second to load back up. Yes, right now, 1 lap is equal to 30 feet. Okay, I know that there are 3 feet in 1 yard. So I need to go from a large, or I need to go from feet to yards. So I need to go from small to large, which makes a line as if we were dividing small feet to yards. So I need to take 30 feet and divide it by the 3 feet in each yard, okay? 30 divided by 3 is 10. So 1 lap is equal to 10 yards, okay? 1 lap is equal to 10 yards. I need at least 45, so I'm going to keep adding these until I get to a number that's at least 45. So 1 lap equals 10 yards, 2 laps equals 20 yards, 3 laps equals 30 yards, 4 laps equals 40 yards, 5 laps equals 50 yards. I needed at least 45. So 40 is not big enough because I need 45. So 50 would give me at least 45. It gives me a little bit more, but I needed it to be at least 45, okay? Since we are talking about complete laps, he would have to run 5 laps to get to his goal of 45, and he'd have done a little bit extra. Because if I would have chose 4 laps, he would not have done 45 yards. So he would still have a little bit more to go. So 5 laps is a better answer. Okay, now you're done with your measurement questions. And the last thing is your memory jogger, where all of these should be review questions. So problem A, the workspace is down below. In which number is the value of the 3 100 times more than the value of the 3 in 12,932? So in class, we've been putting these into a place value chart. It's very hard for me to try to type out a place value chart, so I'm just going to show you how I would think through this problem. So the question is asking for which number has a value where the 3 is 100 times more, okay? More means it's going to get bigger, and it's getting 100 times bigger. The number that they gave us was 12,932. The 3, I'm going to highlight it because I'm focusing on the 3. It says the 3, okay? The 3 is in what place value? Okay, well, the 2's the 1's, so the 3's would be the 10's place, okay? And I'm wanting a 3 that is 100 times bigger than that. So if I did 10 times 100, what would that equal? 10 times 100 equals 1,000. So I'm looking for a 3 in the thousandths place, okay? So now I can look at my answer choices, and I'm looking for one that's in the thousands place. So the first one says 43,823. There are 2 3's, so I'm going to highlight them, and I'm going to talk about where they are. I have 1 3 is the very first number I come to, so it's in the ones place, and the other one, ones, tens, thousand, or ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. So there's one in the ones place and the other one is in the thousands place. So that one is a maybe, so I'm going to leave it. Next one is 198,329. And I'm going to highlight the 3 so I can figure out which place value it is in. That 3, if I look starting with my 9, 9 is ones place, tens place, hundreds place. So that 3 is in the hundreds place. So that is not the correct answer. Okay. The third one says 398,256. I got my numbers mixed up. 256. I'm going to highlight the 3, figure out which place value it is in so that I can figure out if it's in the thousands. 6 is ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s. So that is in the 100,000s place, which is not what I'm looking for. So that is not our answer. The last one is 35,912. Highlighting my 3. Then I'm going to say what place value that is in. The 2 is ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, then it is 10,000s. 10,000s is still not what I was looking for. So 43,823, which was the first option, or A, is going to be my answer. So I'm going to change it. I highlighted it orange so that I could see it was different from the other ones to show that would be my answer. There's another one in that box. In which number is the value of the 9 1/10 the value of the 9 in 9,245? So the question wants to know where the 9 is 1/10 the value. 1/10 is a fraction, so that means it's going to be getting smaller. Okay, so now if I look at my number is 9,245. And we're talking about the 9. So I'm going to highlight my 9. Right now, I want to know what place value that is in. The 2 or the 5 is ones, tens, thousands. I can't do it today. 5 is ones, 4 is tens, 2 is hundreds, 9 is thousands. So right now, that is in the thousands place. And I wanted to get 1/10 the size. So if I was doing this, I would do 1,000 divided by 10. 1,000 divided by 10 equals 100. So I'm now looking for a 9 in the hundreds place, okay? So I'm going to jump to the first number. I'm going to do just like number 1. I'm going to highlight it until I find where I have a 9 that is now in the hundreds place. My first answer choice is 23,089, where the 9 is being highlighted. And then I want to know what place value the 9 is in. The 9 is the very first number I come to, which makes it the ones place. Ones place is not what I'm looking for, so that would not be my answer. Moving to the next one, 198,234. I'm going to highlight the 9, and I'm going to figure out what place value it is in. 4 is ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. So that is the 10,000s place. I am looking for hundreds, so that is not my answer either. Moving to the next number, 12,925. Okay, here is my 9. Going to highlight it. Now I'm going to figure out what place value that is. The 5 is the ones, tens, hundreds. So that would be the hundreds place. That's what I'm looking for, but I need to make sure the last one is not correct before I choose that. So the last one is 8,298. I'm going to highlight the 9. The 8 is in the ones place, so the 9 is in the tens place. Still not correct. So I would be going with 12,925 as my answer, which is C. And I highlighted it orange so that I could see the difference. Now you're done with problem A. Problem B, okay, we're moving things using measurement just like we did in our challenge problems. So for B, you have a lot here. So there's lengths, masses, capacities, and times, and it gives you the hints off to the sides, okay? So the first one says that 5 kilometers is going to be equal to how many meters, okay? And it tells you 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. If 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters, then what would 5 kilometers equal? 1 was 1,000, so 5 would be 5,000 meters. And I'm going to highlight my answer, 5,000 meters. I wrote meters behind it, or you could put an M. Now moving to number 2. 12 feet, and I want to know how many yards that is. So 12 feet, and I'm turning it into yards. So 12 feet equals yards. Well, it shows me that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. If 1 yard is 3 feet, then 2 yards would equal 6 feet. 3 yards would equal 9 feet. 4 yards would equal 12 feet. Okay, so I'm wanting to know how many yards. It would be 4 yards. moving to our mass questions. 2,000 grams is equal to how many kilograms? Well, it shows me that 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. I have 2,000 grams. So if 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams, then 2 kilograms would be equal to 2,000 grams. So 2 kilograms is equal to 2,000 grams. Okay. Next one, I have 8 pounds, and it's wanting us to turn that into ounces. And it shows me that 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces. If 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces and I have 8 pounds, then I'm going to keep going. 1 pound is 16 ounces. So 2 pounds is going to equal 32 ounces because I doubled it. 3 pounds would be equal to 48 ounces because I'm adding 16 more. 4 pounds would be equal to 64 ounces. 5 pounds, if I add 16 more, which would be 80 ounces. 6 pounds, if I'm adding 16 more, which would be 96 ounces. 7 pounds, if I add 16 more, which would be, if I add 6, I would have 102, so 112 ounces. And then 8 pounds, if I add 16 more, would be 128 ounces. So 128 ounces is the same as 8 pounds. Okay. Now you've got 3 left, 2 capacities and 1 time. So for capacity, it is 9 liters, and we're turning it into milliliters. So I have 9 liters. Ooh, turn my highlight off. 9 liters, and I want to turn that into milliliters, and it says 1 liter is equal to 1,000. So 1 liter equals 1,000 milliliters. So if 1 equals 1,000 and I need 9, then 9 liters would equal 9,000 milliliters because 1 was 1,000. So 2 would be 2,000. 3 would be 3,000, so on until I got to 9, which would be 9,000 milliliters. The next one is 5 gallons turned into quarts. Okay, so if I have 5 gallons, I'm wanting to turn that into quarts. And it shows me 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts. So 1 gallon equals 4 quarts. Okay, and I need 5 gallons. So if 1 gallon is 4, 2 gallons, if I double that, would be 8 quarts. So then if I have 3 gallons, if I needed 4 more quarts, that would be 12 quarts. Then 4 gallons, so I need 4 more, would be 16 quarts. Then 5 gallons, if I needed 4 more, which would be 20 quarts. So 5 gallons is equal to 20 quarts. Then the last problem. 2 hours and 23 minutes is how many minutes if there is 60 minutes in an hour? So I have 2 hours and 23 minutes. 2 hours and 23 minutes, and I want to turn that into just minutes. And it told me that 1 hour equals 60 minutes. So the easiest thing for me to do is I'm going to break apart hours and then I'm going to add in minutes. If 1 hour is 60 minutes, then doubling that, 2 hours would equal 120 minutes plus the extra 23 minutes. So 120 plus 23 equals 143 minutes total. I'm going to highlight that answer. And that is your problem B box. Okay, make sure you're showing some of your work, some of your thinking, so that I know you're not just using a calculator. C, how is the product of 23 times 20 related to the product of 23 times 40? Try to explain without finding the product. Use an array diagram to show how you know. Okay. Well, 23 times 20 and then 23 times 40. I'm noticing the 23s are the same. So what do we know about 20 and 40? So I'm going to come down to my Problem C workspace. I'm going to type 23 times 20, and I'm going to type 23 times 40. I'm going to put I noticed that the 23 numbers are the same. So looking at the other numbers, I noticed, what do we know about 20 and 40? Well, I know 20 plus 20 is 40. So 40 would be 20 doubled, okay? So when I'm looking at the other numbers, I noticed that 40 is 20 doubled. That means that 23 times 40 should be double the answer of 23 times 20. That means the answers should be doubled. Okay. Now to problem D. Christopher and 3 of his friends earned $7.16 for washing cars on Saturday. If they shared the earning equally, how much should each friend receive? Okay. So for problem D, we want to share the money that they spent. It is Christopher and 3 friends, so it's going to be 4 friends total, and they earned $7.16. So I know I'm sharing this out. So it's going to be 4 divided into $7.16. So if I start off with the whole number, which is 7, there's 4 friends, okay? So if I know 1 times 4 is 4, 2 times 4 equals 8. 8 is too big because we only have $7. So right now, each friend gets $1 each, and that's going to leave me with $3. So I have $7 minus the 4 that we spent. That leaves me with $3 and then 16 cents. Since $3 is not large enough to share out, I'm going to take this and change it into a decimal. So instead of $3.16, I'm going to say that that equals 316 cents. So it's the same thing as having 316 pennies. So now I'm wanting to divide that by 4. So now if I continued my easy facts, 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 5 times 4 is 20. 10 times 4 is 40. 20 times 4 is 80. 50 times 4 is 200. 100 times 4 is 400. 400 is too large. I only have 316, so I'm going to get rid of that one. It's too big. I'm going to start with 200. So 316 minus 200. Then in parentheses, I'm going to put 50. That means each boy got 50 cents more, okay? 316 minus 200 leaves me with 116 left to keep going. So now 200 is too big, so I can use 80. So I have 116 minus 80, and that is the boys getting an additional 20 cents, okay? So now I'm wanting to know what's left. Well, I'm going to start with 80. 90 would be 10. 100 would be 20, and then the additional 16. So that's going to leave me with 36. So now 80 is too big. 40 is too big, but I can use 20. So I have 36 minus 20, which is the boys getting 5 more cents, and 36 minus 20 is 16. Okay. Well, if I notice 16 is not an easy fact that's on my page, but I have 8, and a lot of us know 8 plus 8 is 16, so I'm going to double that. So if I do 16 minus 16, instead of 2, since I doubled it, it would be 4 cents each boy gets, and there's 0 left. So now we're going to take our parentheses and add them together. I have 50 plus 20 plus 5 plus 4. So 50 plus 20 is 70. 70 plus 5 is 75. Plus 4 is 79. Okay, that is 79 cents plus the dollar from earlier. So if I add in the plus $1, that means each boy is going to get $1.79 if they're sharing it equally. So I'm highlighting that to be my answer. And that was your last bit of work for today. So make sure you're showing your work since you have no work to show for science. And make sure you took that quiz is and that you were truthful with your answer, because I can see if you got a 0 first. Then you're submitting this page, whether it's in Google Classroom or Canvas. If you need me, you can reach out.